Have you ever been in that moment? You know, you're handing someone a gift or maybe a business card, and you get that little flash of panic, like, wait, am I doing this right? Well, in South Korea, that simple exchange can actually carry a lot of meaning. So today, we're going to demystify the art of the respectful handoff so you can handle any situation with total confidence. Okay, first things first, let's get one thing straight. This is not about learning some crazy, complex dance routine. Seriously, we are not aiming for robotic perfection here. The goal is to have one simple go-to move, a respectful default that just works, whether you're meeting your partner's grandparents or a new client. All right, so if it's not about being perfect, what is this magic default we can lean on? Let's get right into it and break down a super simple, actionable technique. We're calling it the three-step polite handoff. I want you to think of this as your core move. It's like the one combo in a video game you need to master. It's the key to showing respect clearly and without any awkwardness. And it all comes down to these three simple actions. You pause, you present, and you acknowledge. I know, it sounds almost too easy, right? But trust me, when you put them together, they create this really powerful moment of respect. Let's dig into what each one actually looks like. So, step one, pause. That's it. If you're walking down the street, you stop for a second. If you're scrolling on your phone, you put it down. This little stop is a huge nonverbal cue. It basically says, hey, you are my priority right now. It shows you're giving them your undivided attention. Next up, step two, present. Now, the gold standard here is using two hands. That's the clearest possible sign of respect. But if you want to be a little less formal, you can use your main hand to pass the item, while your other hand just gently supports that wrist or forearm. Either way, the gesture says, I value this exchange. And finally, step three, acknowledge the person. As you're giving or receiving the item, just make some brief eye contact and give a little nod or a slight bow. This is what connects the gesture to the person. It totally closes the loop and creates that moment of mutual respect. So let's run through it one more time. Pause, present, acknowledge. Simple. Okay, so you've got the three-step default in your back pocket. Awesome. But, not every situation is created equal. So how do you know when you need to dial up the formality a bit? Let's get into the nuance. Here is your mental checklist. If you're meeting someone for the very first time, or you're talking to an older relative, or you find yourself in a really formal setting like a wedding, and especially in a business context, that's your signal to be a little more deliberate, a little more formal with your gestures. And this table here kind of breaks it all down. Hanging out with close friends, it's going to be casual, one-handed, no big deal. But first meetings, that's when our three-step polite default is absolutely perfect. But, and this is important, when you're with older relatives or in a serious business meeting, you'll want to use high formality. That means a really clear two-handed gesture and a slightly deeper bow. All right, let's make this super practical. How does this whole thing apply in situations you're actually going to face? And maybe more importantly, what do you do if you just mess up? Business cards. This is like the classic example. In Korean business culture, exchanging cards is practically a ritual. You're going to present your card with two hands, and you turn it so the other person can read it easily. And when you get one, you take it with two hands, and you actually pause for a second to read it. It shows you value them and this new connection you're making. And the exact same idea applies to money. If you're just buying a soda at a convenience store, loose cash is totally fine. But if you're giving money as a gift or for a more formal payment, putting it in an envelope first, that shows way more thought and respect. It really elevates the whole exchange from just a transaction to a meaningful gesture. So what happens if your brain just shuts off and you hand something over with one hand while looking away? Okay, first, don't panic. There's what I call a quick reset. You just pause, take the item back for like half a second, and then represent it properly using our three-step method. That tiny little correction speaks volumes. It shows you're aware, and it instantly repairs the moment. So we've covered the how and the when. But let's zoom out one last time and talk about the why. What's the big idea here that makes all of this actually work? And honestly, this is the biggest takeaway of all. Real respect feels natural, not like you're a robot reading a script. The three-step method is so powerful because it's simple enough that it can become second nature. It lets your genuine respect shine through, even if you're feeling a little nervous. So as we wrap this up, I want you to bring this home. Forget about Korea for just a second and think about your own life. What is one small, simple gesture, maybe it's pausing, maybe it's making eye contact, maybe it's using two hands, that you can bring to your very next interaction to show just a little more respect and intention?